This river has existed for 6 million years. It has outlasted empires. It has outlasted wars. It has outlasted every treaty, every president, every promise made on both sides of its banks. For nearly 2 centuries, the United States-Mexico relationship was the most economically intertwined partnership on the planet. Over $800 billion in trade per year, the world's busiest land border. 32 American states depend on Mexico as their top trading partner. That relationship, as we knew it, effectively ended on March 7, 2026, at approximately 2:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Not because of an enemy, by the hand of an American president standing in a Florida ballroom offering missiles. You want us to use a missile? They're extremely accurate. Pew, right into the living room. 17 nations in the room, cameras rolling, the world watching. In the next 12 minutes, you will see the summit that rewrote the Monroe Doctrine overnight, the leaked Pentagon directive nobody was supposed to read, the market reaction that hit your retirement fund, and why this missile moment could reshape your daily life, starting now. It didn't start with missiles. It started with a phone call. January 9, 2026. President Trump, speaking publicly, made 3 things crystal clear to Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum. Demand 1. Allow U.S. military forces to operate on Mexican soil to target cartel leadership. Sheinbaum said no. Demand 2. Accept American drone strike coordinates over cartel compounds near the border. Sheinbaum said no. Again. Demand 3. Publicly endorse the United States designating 6 Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, the same legal framework used after 9/11 against Al-Qaeda. Sheinbaum's answer? We do not agree. 3 rejections. In public. On record. Trump responded by telling the world the U.S. would, quote, start hitting land in Mexico. No UN approval, no bilateral agreement, no invitation. The diplomatic silence from the international community was deafening. What happened next shocked Washington. We do evidence here. Receipt 1, the leaked Pentagon directive. In August 2025, the New York Times reported that Trump had secretly signed a directive ordering the Pentagon to begin using military force against Latin American drug cartels. This wasn't a speech. This wasn't a tweet. This was a classified order, the kind that moves special operations forces, the kind that arms drones. Receipt 2, the market reaction. When Trump imposed 25% tariffs on all Mexican imports, citing cartel fentanyl flows, $800 billion in annual trade was immediately placed in legal jeopardy. Supply chains from automotive to agriculture began recalculating. Ford, GM, and Stellantis, all with major Mexican manufacturing, saw share prices react within hours. Money doesn't lie. Receipt 3, the public meltdown. On March 7, 2026, Trump stood before 12 Latin American leaders at his own golf resort in Doral, Florida, and offered missile strikes as a security service. He mimicked the sound of a precision weapon mid-flight. He called the cartels cancer. He warned Cuba it was at the end of the line. 17 nations signed his counter-cartel declaration anyway. That's not a press release. That's a doctrine. Here is what the foreign policy textbooks will argue about for decades. Donald Trump operates from a psychology of dominance signaling. In his framework, strength is not subtle. Strength makes a sound. Pew. Strength has a blast radius. But here is the doom loop that nobody at Doral wanted to say out loud. When you offer missile strikes to nations that didn't ask for them, you don't build alliances. You build dependency. You create a power structure where smaller nations comply not out of partnership, but out of fear of what happens if they don't. Mexico, the United States' second-largest trading partner, is watching. Claudia Sheinbaum has now rejected American military presence 4 separate times. Each rejection has been met with a louder threat. Each louder threat has hardened her public position domestically. That's not diplomacy. That's an escalation spiral. And the historical record is unambiguous. When the United States tries to solve political problems with military pressure, from Vietnam to Iraq to the first war on drugs, the institution survives. The problem does not get solved. The doom loop spins again. Let's make this personal. You go to a dealership. That truck you're looking at? parts assembled in Chihuahua, Mexico. Under a 25% tariff regime, that vehicle costs you, conservatively, $3,000 to $6,000 more, not a rounding error. Real money. Your retirement fund? If you hold index funds with auto sector or consumer goods exposure, and most Americans over 50 do, you've already felt the tremors. Supply chain disruption is not abstract. It shows up in Q2 earnings. It shows up in your 401k statement. Your national security? Over 100,000 Americans die from drug overdoses every year. Fentanyl, manufactured with Chinese precursor chemicals and smuggled predominantly through legal ports of entry, is the leading cause. Missiles fired at cartel compounds in Sinaloa do not stop a pill pressed in a Phoenix garage, and your country's reputation? 17 nations signed the declaration at Doral. But here's what the foreign press actually reported. America is now the hemisphere's self-appointed military contractor, and not everyone in those 17 countries believes that's a long-term partnership. Some believe it's a leash. America has been here before. A powerful president, a real enemy, a military-first strategy, a coalition of smaller nations signing declarations under enormous pressure. The pattern is familiar. And now, on the other side of the hemisphere, something new is forming. China has quietly expanded its Belt and Road presence across Latin America. It's building ports in Peru, infrastructure in Argentina, trade relationships in Brazil. Not with missiles, with money. While America offers precision strikes, China offers precision investments. And in the corridors of Mexico City, in the presidential palace where Claudia Sheinbaum has now refused Washington 4 times, the calculation is getting harder to ignore. America is the loudest voice in the room. But loud doesn't mean trusted. Here is the image that stays with you. Imagine a controlled burn. A forest fire you set on purpose. To clear the brush, eliminate the threat, start clean. The theory is sound. The execution requires perfect conditions. But if the wind shifts, the fire doesn't stop at the border. It never does. Here is the question I want you to sit with and answer in the comments below. Is this the moment America finally wins the drug war, or the moment it starts a new one it can't finish? Drop your answer below. I read every single one. If you believe that real geopolitical analysis, evidence-driven, no spin, matters right now, subscribe. Hit the bell. This story is still developing, because the next move could happen tomorrow.